Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's been a while, far too long since I cast this bot. It's TyrT gonna be taking on a newer challenger, WickedBot, in a TVT that is a bot author recommended replay. So yeah, it's been way too long since I cast here, considering I think it was probably one of the first bots that I cast when I first started looking at these bots. And Tyr is still a very good bot. However, I think it has fallen a little bit by the wayside. And I think that that's partially just because other bots really kind of surpassed it. From what I've seen, it still has some very good games. It still plays a very unique and fun to watch Terran style, though. And we're gonna see how well it's gonna take on this new challenger that is WickedBot. We have got WickedBot gonna be going for an expansion. Meanwhile, Tyr is going to be going for a very heavy double gas opening. There is barely any SCVs on that mineral line, it looks like, because Tyr is mining so much gas so early on. We'll see what it's going to spend all of this gas on. It's pretty much got to be a factory right out the gate, but maybe it's going to be some sort of mass air, mass banshees, that kind of thing. And then we have got Tyr going for an SCV scout, seeing that it's not being cheesed, anything like that. Which is always important when it comes to observing a bot's level of play. If you're a bot author and you take time to make your bot react to potential cheeses, it means you've got quite a bit of work done. Now that SCV heads on home and the Reaper heads on out. The first Reaper, meanwhile the factory for Tyr is significantly quicker than that of WickedBot's. However, the command center timing as a result is far later, as Tyr is just firing up its own command center now, whereas WickedBot's is just about done. That's a full minute ahead, which isn't like game ending. We even see pro matches like that, but it's not insignificant. The Reaper for Tyr comes on in. This does force the SCVs of WickedBot to react, actually a bit of an overreaction, as they all seemingly pulled off the mineral line for a second. Then the mining did get a little bit messed up and takes a second to get everyone back in order. So that was some effective harassment from Tyr. And then the red Terran bot has got a siege tank on the way already, whereas WickedBot is seemingly going for a more bio-based approach, as it already fires up Stim, has a second Rax on the done now, just building a reactor. So we've got a 1-1-1 against what could be a 2-1-1. We'll see, as Tyr is about to finish up its own command center. It takes another gas, though, saying, I need more gas. Tyr is apparently the USA of bots. And then we have got that factory done, but silent for now. The tech lab about to finish up on the starport. We'll see if there's going to be Cloak potentially starting. Cloak and a Banshee, perhaps? What do we have? The answer is actually going to be a Raven, so no Banshees from Tyr. Just a Raven on the way. The red Terran bot, though, is behind on workers a little bit because of the way that it opened up. WickedBot has got a nice 4-worker lead, which is not insignificant, and it's actually producing 2 workers at once. Tyr does get that double worker production going, though, now that it has got that orbital done. WickedBot commits to a 3rd command center already, which is quite early. Sub 4 minutes for that CC. Tyr is just building tanks and Ravens for the time being, whereas WickedBot is going into this heavy bio play once again, which is, it's going to be interesting to see whether this bio will have success or not against the army of Tyr, because I think it's potentially going to come down to whether the tanks are sieged or not, as that is something that bots really struggle with. At the same time, WickedBot is going to have a wicked amount of bio, 14 Marines and climbing stim pack on the way, more and more racks being built. The 3rd command center being done now is very significant, though. We'll see how long WickedBot is going to take to land that, but that could further its SCV lead. It might not necessarily live that long, though, as Tyr is actually moving out on the map, going to be pushing towards the natural base of WickedBot. WickedBot, at the same time, is also moving out, so we're going to be having a mid-map collision between these two bot armies. It seems that this happens quite a bit as bot authors program their bots like, yeah, that seems like a good amount of stuff to move out. Looks like WickedBot starts the engagement, loads up some of its Marines into the Medivac, and starts to retreat. That doesn't really solve its problem, though. That could have potentially been a good fight, fighting with stimmed Marines against what Tyr has. However, some of the Marines are unloading from the Medivac. Very interesting micro there as it picks up more of the Marines and unloads them, as there is a lot of commands being issued to that Medivac. The Marines do stim forward for WickedBot as it picks off one of the tanks, then loads up all the Marines once more, starts unloading them. This is some very bizarre bot micro. WickedBot does seem to at least have good programming when it comes to actually deciding to engage into the tanks. It really just right-clicked on those tanks, almost killed off the second one. So Tyr's push continues on. It's very unsupported, though, as all the Marines of Tyr are dead. WickedBot has got, well, some of these units eating tank shots. Those two Marines, they do actually pick off one of the tanks, though. More Marines are trickling in for the blue Terran bot. They have pretty much all died, though, so the unit count is actually very low for WickedBot right now. Only 5 Marines out, producing 6 at a time. Marauders are on the way. Combat Shield finishing up will be big. Still, though, the blue Terran bot is fine on 3 bases. Tyr is just finishing up its third, so the economic lead does continue for the blue Terran bot, having a 14-worker lead right now. So all this bioproduction, well, it's going to be a lot more bioproduction than whatever Tyr is making. Tyr is going into its own bioproduction behind this, but those tanks do get cleaned on out as WickedBot continues to excel as far as the production is concerned, making more stuff than Tyr is, that's for sure. The red Terran bot is getting up at Sensor Tower, which is cool. We don't see those all the time in bot matches. Getting up its own stim, getting up its own +1, but it's lagging behind in upgrades, so it really is just going to be on the tank production of Tyr in order to potentially win at this match. Now, Thunderbird is a bit of a map that can mess with bots a little bit, as bots like to move out and defend their third base. However, this does leave the natural of Tyr rather vulnerable, as in comes WickedBot moving towards the natural base, and let's see, it looks like WickedBot is moving towards the left. Vikings do push those Medivacs away. The control of WickedBot is really unique with these Medivacs. It's like, alright, we're going to attack. No, never mind, run away, as it boosts on out of there. And now Tyr is still just building up its army, actually having an army supply lead after taking fewer losses than its opponent. The economy of WickedBot is no joke, though. It's looking pretty wicked, as a 4th command center is done. We've even got a 5th one about to finish up, so the mining is going to be very powerful for WickedBot, as it could potentially have 5 orbitals soon enough. Now, that being said, WickedBot is still playing purely a bio army against a red Terran bot that is producing siege tanks. And we all know how units do against siege tanks. Like, mass bio against tanks is not usually good for the mass bio. We're going to see as WickedBot is moving on in, but then it elects to move on out, however, taking huge losses as the Vikings of Tyr gun down the Medivacs. The retreating of WickedBot seems to be costing it more than if it just committed to the attacks potentially and got at least in a reasonable trade. Tyr moves out to get its 4th command center building, so still a slower rate of expansion than its opponent, as WickedBot's already got that 4th base up. It's mining as well. There's going to be extra mules dropping as this command center is about to finish up. We'll see if that takes off, and it does, floating over towards the 5th base location already. We'll keep eyes on whether there's going to be a 6th base or not. The concern is growing for WickedBot, though, as at some point it will have to take an engagement, and for its sake, hopefully not boost away in those Medivacs, just giving free kills to Tyr, as it's already done a couple of times in this game. The bio is, well, it's quite a lot of bio for WickedBot. It's going to take a fight, but there it goes once again, loading into the Medivacs, which is not the most reasonable thing to do in this situation, as Tyr's Vikings gun down oh so many. The red Terran bot is coming on in once again, but I don't know if WickedBot's going to be able to stop this. I'm concerned it's just going to load its units into the medivacs. As I say that, though, the blue Terran bot is committing to the fight right now, fighting against what is like the 6-7 siege tanks of tier, and the bio is all getting deleted now. It did surprisingly well for itself. Maybe it's the upgrades that helped out a little bit, having that +1 armor done. Still, though, there is a lot of tanks left for tier. However, they're unsieged. That gives the opportunity for WickedBot to stim forward. It's picking off most of the tanks with only 2 remaining, make that 1 remaining, and all the tanks do get cleaned on up. So, a good fight for WickedBot when it actually does decide to fight. As long as it actually keeps its units on the ground and not in the medivacs, it does surprisingly well, it seems. Taking that tank fight was actually quite impressive. I guess it just had so much bio. We're having the bio coalesce and block a further racks, but no need to fear, as there's many more racks building for WickedBot. We do have that 5th base, dropping lots of mules on it to give a very high increase to the income. At the same time, though, tier is taking its own 5th base, so keeping pace in the economy. I know I've been talking about how WickedBot's had a bit of an economy lead this whole game, but it really is just mostly a bit of an economy lead. Tier is still expanding, still taking more bases and keeping that economy going. It's got up to 79 workers to 84. And then, of course, just the unit composition for tier seems to be a little bit better than what WickedBot is making. It's tanks versus marines. We usually know how those fights end. Of course, there is cases in which the tanks are unsieged when they shouldn't be. However, now Tier's also added in Thors into its army, which I'm not sure is the most effective against mass bio, but it certainly is the most cool, as I do love to see Thors in Starcraft 2. Tanks are sieging up for Tier once again as its bio moves forward to buffer. Once again, WickedBot going to lose many units with this seemingly smart retreating behavior not working out that well, as it loses quite a bit of bio in those medivacs, more than it definitely should have. Still, though, there's plenty of bio left thanks to the insane production of WickedBot. A tank in the back for tier is shooting, but the Thors get cleaned on up. And I think the supply may be misleading a little bit, as Tier's got 9 Vikings, which is not supply that really fights Marines and Marauders. The Red Terran is still attacking, actually, with some bio and tanks pushing towards the 5th base of WickedBot. That is going to get cleaned on up as the tank gets some final shots off, but everything will be cleaned on up once again. WickedBot just has so much bio, as it's not spending on tanks and Thors. Looks like it's coming in, going to be counterattacking, hitting the 4th base of tier. The bio is very, very red, as most of the medivacs seemingly get gunned down, but it's still a lot of firepower in this bio that keeps on stimming. Tier's got a Raven, it's full on energy, but they're not actually tossing down their auto turrets, which is unfortunate. The tank will siege up, gets a shot off, but then gets killed. Meanwhile, Tier is building a 6th base and will defend this 4th base, so it's actually going to be able to reestablish mining there. The refinery is going to burn down. Both bots are heading into 3-3, so Tier's keeping pace with the upgrades. Its tanks aren't necessarily getting the same attention, though, as it commits to armor, which will help out the Thors and the medivacs to survive longer, the tanks as well, but they're not going to have that big +3, +2, or even +1 damage that tanks really, really benefit from. So the tanks of Tier will be less effective than they could be. Meanwhile, we've got WickedBot with lots of medivacs that have got to work overtime to heal up this bio. Tier's going to be moving out on the map once again, potentially racing WickedBot to get some damage done, as the Blue Terran bot is going to be going for an attack towards the 4th base of Tier. Looks like Tier has got some cool behavior to try and go for attacks at other locations, but unfortunately, it gets intercepted by the main army of WickedBot. The bio is stimming forward for WickedBot. Meanwhile, Tier is moving towards the base of WickedBot, which has got a lot of bio in a choke point, really grouping up. So the one tank that's sieged for Tier actually got a lot of work done. The Thor is doing work as well, but all in all, SCV is being pulled. I think the army of Tier is going to be cleaned up faster than the one of WickedBot. WickedBot killed that base. It's now got all the stimmed bio moving towards the 5th, or is that the 6th? The 6th base of Tier, and it's going to be able to clean that up, so getting some good damage done. Tyr is still pushing on in, but there's only 2 tanks, the Thor left. Vikings in the skies are doing work, killing off the Medivacs. That's probably part of the reason why WickedBot is so red with this bio. It's lost 24 Medivacs this game. The command center lifts off, but it's still burning down. Tyr is reestablishing its 4th. Vikings and tanks on the left side are, well, the Vikings are being chased away. The tank's gonna siege up and die, as the timing for that isn't exactly the best. The command center lands, could definitely use some repairing, but some Marauders do finish it off. So Tyr's economy has taken a bit of a blow. WickedBot took a blow to its own economy, but I mean, it didn't lose any bases. We're now seeing Vikings get caught by Marines and gunned down, so that's a big blow to the supply of Tyr that was kind of artificially inflated. This Raven may lead WickedBot to the base of Tyr, which would be very problematic, as the Red Terran doesn't have the units it needs to defend this right now. We are seeing at least attack upgrades be researched for the tanks, which could definitely help Tyr out. I do just think that Tyr's unsieging its tanks a little bit too much. It's a rare case of a bot being a little overly aggressive, I guess. But still, I really like the composition of Tyr against the mass bio. I don't like the mass Vikings, per se. The tanks definitely are the most important thing to keep eyes on. We do have 2 more being produced. Upgrades still rolling for Tyr, so the Red Terran's army is getting better. Time is on the side of Tyr's. That's exactly what it needs in order to remax. WickedBot is moving out on the map once again. All this bio is so stimmed for the Blue Terran. All it's going to take is a few tank shots to kill off most of this army, so we'll see if it goes on in or not. Tanks are starting to shoot. That is a lot of damage getting done. A few of the units do get evacuated into the Medivacs, but then they start unloading and running into the tanks once again. I'm not sure what the exact intended behavior is of the bio movement of WickedBot with the Medivacs. Like, I see the kind of the thought process of, oh, allow the units to retreat, but then maybe it's just changing its mind too much so that it is constantly picking fights and then losing units as it loads units into Medivacs, but then unloads them and just keeps them hanging around too long. We are having Tyr move out once again. The Red Terran has been able to remax rather quickly. Tanks are now sieged on up. WickedBot does still have a good chunk of bio out. The tanks for Tyr once again are sieging and unsieging when they shouldn't be. We've got a Thor with +3 armor doing what it can, but it does go down as it chose to pick a fight with all that bio. Tyr, though, is still pushing on in towards the left side. WickedBot has got so many command centers and is dropping so many mules all over the place. Tyr is going to have to set to work on cleaning these up. Meanwhile, the Red Terran is rather limited on its bases and its income, as an attempt to reestablish the 6th base gets delayed, potentially canceled. SCVs are being pulled en masse into the tanks of Tyr, though. The tanks, once again, some of them are unsieging in the face of this army, but still, seems there's quite a few on the ground. But look at that, the tanks are unsieging once again for Tyr, which is definitely not ideal behavior. There we go, now they're going to get some shots off on the bio. The upgrades really improving the success of the tanks for Tyr, seemingly. We do have lots of Thors being produced as well. Coming to the front lines, they do a pretty good job buffering for this Blue Terran army, and all of a sudden, WickedBot is really falling down in supply as it falls into an SCV death loop, it seems, trying to just build nothing but SCVs, but spoiler alert, that is not going to help against what Tyr has, and I'm really surprised the Blue Terran bot did such a good job keeping its economy going, but then all of a sudden it's like, no, I need to build SCVs. This is why I think it's important to have a bit of a balance between building workers and units or some sort of check to prevent this death spiral, because WickedBot just keeps losing more and more SCVs as it tries to secure up this base that are saturated anyway. And yeah, I think the Blue Terran bot maybe just was a little too comfortable. It never tried to expand here, never tried to expand here, despite having a boatload of orbital commands. So it kind of put all its eggs in one basket, and once Tyr got off a successful attack, things really turned around for the Red Terran bot. I was getting worried for Tyr, but in the end, the composition did win out despite having some weak points. I think the tank control, like, I mean, yeah, I think they unsieged a little bit too much. That's what allowed WickedBot to take such good fights with only biocompositions, but in the end, Tyr was able to pull through, having just enough bases, keeping the economy going, and being able to remax despite my criticisms. And I do hope that you guys don't mind me giving feedback for these bots. Of course, I try not to be too critical. I just try to be sort of realistic about where I point out what could be improved. As always, though, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you're still tuning into this video. If we can get 1 like for every dead SCV this game, that would be a lot of likes. 184 right now. Well, that's not counting the dead ones of Tyr, which was 48. So maybe 48's a more realistic goal. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. I certainly enjoy casting them. Consider becoming a YouTube member if you want to support the channel. There's various perks you can get using that join button. Tyr may kill its own tanks thanks to friendly fire on SCVs. Not quite. And if you're still watching but you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, as this is the only YouTube channel where there's pretty much daily bot videos. I am currently debating starting a second channel, potentially, since I know that this channel is very bot-focused for the most part. Or I post other Starcraft stuff, but it's like, I've had this channel for, oh, I don't know, over a decade, and I've always posted all kinds of random gibberish on it. So it's like, do I really want to start a new channel? I'm not too sure. You guys can let me know down in the comments down below. And yeah, now we watch as Tyr gets horribly bottlenecked on this ramp. But it will eventually clean everything up of WickedBot. I believe it was the bot author of WickedBot that sent in this replay, so big props to them for sending in a replay, which their bot lost, because it makes for much more exciting commentary, and then, yeah, just shows some good self-awareness, as they probably learned a lot from watching this game too. That's gonna be that. GG.